You ever read something so wrong, so unbelievable, that your brain just glitches? Like it physically won't process what you're seeing? That was me, sitting cross-legged on our bed, swiping through my Gmail, when I opened an email I'll never unsee. You're invited to Melanie and Jake's baby shower. Target Registry, Melanie plus Jake's first baby Jake. As in, my Jake. I stared at it for a full minute. My first thought wasn't even anger. It was confusion, like maybe there was another Jake. Maybe she had a cousin or something. Melanie was a common name, so was Jake. But then I clicked on the registry, and there it was, right there, under father's name. Jake Sanderson estimated due date, December 12, 2025. Registry created, August 6, 2025. Location, Berkeley, CA. That was his full name. Our city, our apartment zip code. That was the exact day he came home late with car trouble, and I let him sleep on the couch without asking more questions. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat there, frozen, phone clutched in both hands like it was about to bite me. I scrolled through the registry in a daze. Pacifiers, nursing pillows, crib mattress, even a copy of What to Expect When You're Expecting. All items marked purchased. Someone, maybe even Jake himself, had been playing house in secret. And the worst part? I knew Melanie. She was his work wife. Jake and I had been together 7 years, married for 4. We met in college, when he was tutoring in the campus library, and I was crying over a macroeconomics exam. He sat down beside me, made a joke about graphs being modern hieroglyphics, and somehow that night ended with me skipping class and us getting pancakes at 2 a.m. He made me laugh like no one else. He'd hold my face when I was stressed, rub little circles behind my ears, leave voice notes on my phone when I had back-to-back Zoom meetings. You're killing it, babe. Just remember, even Beyoncé takes breaks. We weren't perfect. No one is. But we made it work. Until Melanie. She started at his office 2 years ago. She was newly married, had transferred from another branch in Oregon, and instantly became one of the guys. Jake told me she was cool. Like, you'd actually like her, babe. She's into plants and murder podcasts. At first, I didn't think much of it. I'm not the jealous type. He'd mention her in passing. How she handled a tricky client. How she brought in donuts. How she knew the best sushi spot near downtown. But then it became constant. Her name started popping up in his texts. Mel says the client might push the pitch. Mel's carpooling with me to the retreat. Mel thinks I should try Muay Thai, LOL. I'd joke about it. Should I be worried about your work wife? He'd grin. Babe, she's married. Chill. Her husband's in finance. He's like allergic to fun. Still, something started to feel off. Jake got cagey about his phone. Would step out of the room for certain calls. Once, I caught him texting at 11:30 p.m. with a goofy grin. When I asked who it was, he mumbled, "Just work stuff," and changed the subject. One night, during a dinner with my sister, Jake got a call and practically ran outside to answer it. When he came back in, his ears were red, and he said it was a client emergency. But later, I peeked at his phone on the counter. The call log just said Mel. I asked about it. He shrugged. She's dealing with a psycho vendor. Needed help. I let it go, like a fool. After I saw that registry, I didn't confront him right away. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid of what he'd say. Maybe part of me hoped there was some rational explanation. That night, I cooked dinner like usual. He came home around 7:40 p.m., loosened his tie, kissed my cheek like everything was fine. "Smells amazing," he said, grabbing a forkful of pasta from the pot. "You always nail the garlic." I watched him eat. Every bite. Every fake little smile. And I felt like a ghost in my own home. Later, when he went to shower, I opened his laptop. I never did that before. Never felt the need. But I had to know. I pulled up his Chrome history, scrolled past fantasy football links and YouTube videos on car maintenance. And then, jackpot. Target baby registry. Melanie and Jake Pinterest nursery board. Baby boy themes. Airbnb booking. Half Moon Bay. July 14 to 16. I stared at that last one. That was the weekend he said he was visiting his brother in LA. I remember because I'd had a stomach flu, and he left me with Pedialyte and a forehead kiss. I clicked on the Airbnb link in a new tab. It was expired, but the listing title still showed Oceanfront Baby Moon, private hot tub and fireplace. I barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up. The next day, I called out sick from work. I needed time. I needed proof. I drove to his office around lunchtime, parked in the visitor lot, and waited. I knew they usually broke for lunch around 12:30. At 12:42 p.m., I saw them. Jake and Melanie, laughing, holding Chipotle bags, walking side by side toward a bench. She looked so comfortable with him, like someone who belonged beside him. And he? He looked happy, relaxed, like a man living a double life without remorse. I stayed in my car, took photos, zoomed in, snapped one where she touched his shoulder, laughing so hard she leaned into him. Another where he brushed something off her cheek. And then, the final one, her phone screen, angled just enough to see. Baby countdown app. 49 days to go. That night, I made copies of everything. Screenshots, registry printouts, Airbnb receipts. I'd logged into his email with the same password he used for Netflix. Idiot. And tucked them in a manila folder. I left it on the kitchen table, with a post-it on top. Thought you should know, L. Then I packed a weekend bag and drove to my sister's. I thought he'd call right away. I thought he'd show up. He didn't. Not that night. Not the next morning. He finally texted me at 2:14 p.m. the next day. Can we talk? Please, I didn't want you to find out like this. It's not what you think. That line made me laugh, out loud. I was sitting on my sister's porch, drinking a melted Starbucks Frappuccino, hair in a bun, wearing his old hoodie, and I laughed so hard I started crying. Not what I think? You're having a baby with another woman, Jake. A woman you swore was just a friend. A woman whose baby registry you bookmarked. I didn't reply. I left him on red. For once, he could sit in the silence. But the story doesn't end there. Because Melanie? She didn't stay quiet. Not even close. She posted a maternity shoot on Instagram the next day, tagging him. Full name. Right there, under a photo of them holding baby shoes on a beach. Sometimes the unexpected gifts are the most beautiful. Counting down to meeting baby Sanderson. The comments exploded. Mutual friends started DMing me. My coworker sent me a screenshot with, is this your Jake? His cousin texted, call me when you can. WTF is going on? I felt the walls closing in. I wasn't just betrayed. I was publicly humiliated. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I scheduled a Zoom call. With Jake. And Melanie. I'd never scheduled a Zoom call with my own husband and his mistress before. Turns out, Google Calendar doesn't have a betrayal confrontation template. I set the meeting for 8:30 p.m. Just late enough that my sister would be out picking up dinner, and I'd have the house to myself. I needed space, quiet, control. The waiting was the worst part. I stared at the screen, a black square in the center of a bright laptop, like a loaded gun with no safety. I clicked join. At 8:32 p.m., Jake entered the call. His video was off. Of course. Hey, he said. Just that. One syllable. Hollow. I didn't respond. At 8:34 p.m., Melanie joined. Her video was on. She looked polished. Perfect even. Long brown hair in soft waves. Delicate gold hoops. A faint smudge of lipstick on a coffee mug in her hand. She looked exactly like the kind of woman who'd get away with blowing up someone else's life and still be the guest of honor at a baby shower. There was a weird silence. Jake unmuted. Lena, No, I said. You don't talk yet. He froze. I turned to Melanie, my voice steady. So, want to explain why my husband's name is on your baby registry? She raised her eyebrows slightly, like I was the one being dramatic. Then she smiled. Small. Tight. I assumed you knew, she said calmly. We weren't exactly hiding. You assumed I knew? I nearly laughed. Because your secret beach baby moon said otherwise. Lena, Jake interjected. I snapped. Shut up, Jake. I swear to God. You don't get to speak until say you can. His mouth shut. Good. Melanie took a slow sip of her coffee. I don't want drama, she said, like we were two PTA moms squabbling over bake sale duties. This pregnancy hasn't been easy, and I didn't think you'd want the stress either. Oh, so considerate of her. You're having a baby, I said quietly, with my husband, and you didn't think I'd want the stress. She tilted her head. He was leaving you anyway. That's when Jake finally spoke. I never said that. Melanie turned sharply. You said you were thinking about it, that she didn't get you anymore, that it felt over. His eyes darted around like he could somehow look away from the screen. I never promised anything, he mumbled. You knew that. Her smile vanished. You son of a... she started, then stopped. Took a breath. Wow. Classic. The Zoom call had officially turned into a disaster movie. But I wasn't done. I want you both to listen very carefully, I said, my voice low, controlled. Because after tonight, I'm not going to speak to either of you ever again. Not until my lawyer contacts you. Jake's eyes shot up. Lena, come on. I found the registry, the receipts, the Airbnb. I have screenshots of texts, browser history, call logs. I even saw you two at lunch. I have everything. Melanie was pale now. Jake looked like he'd aged 10 years in 5 minutes. And here's the best part, I continued. California is a no-fault divorce state. But guess what? Cheating can still factor into property division if it involved shared finances. I leaned forward. Like that Airbnb. Paid for on our joint card. Jake swallowed hard. I'm taking the apartment, the car, and full control of our shared savings. You can Venmo your new baby mama when you figure out where you're living next. He opened his mouth, closed it again. Melanie, to her credit, just sat there, silent. I hope the baby's healthy, I said. Truly, but you won't be dragging me into your mess. I am done. I clicked end call without waiting for a reply. My sister found me 10 minutes later, curled up in the hallway, shaking. Not crying, just shaking, like every nerve in my body had been flayed open and left in a cold wind. She sat beside me without saying a word, just pulled me into her lap, like we were little again, and let me breathe. I'd done it. I'd said what I needed to say, but the silence that followed was brutal. Jake didn't come home that night, or the next. Instead, I got a string of texts. I never meant for this to happen. Can we just talk, please? You're right to be angry. I messed up. But she lied to me too. It wasn't all what it looked like. Please, let me explain. Then, a voicemail. His voice cracked halfway through. Lena, I love you. I was stupid. It was just, I don't know. It started with work stuff and turned into something I didn't recognize. I didn't want a baby. She said she couldn't get pregnant. And now... I deleted it before he finished. Because here's the thing. I was trying to get pregnant. That's the twist of the knife. We'd been trying for 6 months. Ovulation tracking apps, scheduled intimacy, supplements, prenatal vitamins. I'd even skipped a wine night with my best friend because I didn't want to risk anything, and he had been playing house with someone else the entire time. He told me he wasn't ready, said he wanted to make sure our foundation was strong. Meanwhile, he was planting his foundation in someone else. The next few days were a blur of legal calls, bank visits, and accidental tears at completely random things. A baby on a Target ad, the smell of Jake's old hoodie, the Spotify playlist we used to cook to. My sister was a rock. She made spreadsheets, organized every account, even packed up Jake's stuff into color-coded bins. Work, sentimental, and trash. We left the trash bin by the door. Jake showed up a week later to collect his things. He didn't knock, just opened the door with the key he still had, and froze when he saw me on the couch. You look good, he said quietly. I didn't answer. He glanced at the bins. You really packed everything? Didn't want to risk you taking anything that wasn't yours, I said. He gave a sad little smile, like I was the unreasonable one. I'm sorry, he said. I know that doesn't mean much. You're right, I said. It doesn't. He nodded, picked up his things. At the door, he turned. I don't even know if the baby's mine. I blinked. Excuse me? She told me she was on birth control. Then she stopped. Didn't tell me. Said it was an accident, but I don't know. I think she wanted this. That makes two of us, I said. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say more, then walked out. And just like that, my marriage ended. But something strange happened after he left. People started reaching out. A girl from his office DM'd me anonymously. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve that. You should know. She's done this before. She got transferred from Oregon for a similar situation. I stared at the message. Then another came in, from an old college friend of Jake's. Hey Lena, I know we haven't talked in years, but I saw what happened. Just wanted to say I always admired how strong you were. You'll come out of this okay. He's a fool. And another. And another. It was like the universe had flipped a switch. People were seeing him for who he really was, and me for who I'd always been. Weeks passed. The divorce process started rolling. Melanie went quiet online. Her baby posts stopped. She locked her account. Rumor had it Jake moved in with her temporarily. But then I got an email from a mutual friend. Subject line: Thought you'd want to see this. It was a screenshot of a Reddit post from r// relationship advice. Pregnant coworker tricked me into leaving my wife. Now I'm living with her and she's unbearable. Help? The post was full of Jake's signature phrases, complaining about being emotionally manipulated, how she used the baby to trap him, how his wife left him without a chance to fix things. The comment section? Brutal. Top reply: Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I never replied to him again. Never stalked her socials. Never checked up on the baby. Because this wasn't my story anymore. It was theirs. I was just the chapter they lost. But before you think this ends with me riding into the sunset, let me tell you something. Grief isn't linear. Some days I felt free. Other days, I missed the version of Jake that never really existed. The one I thought I married. The one who left love notes in my lunch and rubbed my feet when I was sick. But that man was a mirage. The real Jake couldn't even pick a baby crib without betraying me. The weird thing about betrayal is how quiet it gets afterward. You think there'll be fireworks, screaming, public shaming, but it's not that dramatic, not in real life. It's a silence, a low, ever-present hum, like a broken ceiling fan spinning long after the power's cut. I went back to work 2 weeks after I kicked Jake out. No dramatic announcement, just me at my desk, trying to remember my Slack password while sipping on a lukewarm oat milk latte and pretending everything was normal. People tiptoed around me. My manager asked if I wanted to take on lighter assignments for now. I said no. I needed noise. Deadlines. Anything to keep my brain from replaying that damn Target registry over and over. The nights were the hardest. I'd wake up at 2:17 a.m. like clockwork. No sounds. No movement. Just the absence of a second toothbrush in the holder and the ghost of someone who used to sleep diagonally and steal the covers. I should have changed the sheets. I didn't. About a month into the separation, my friend Rhea staged an intervention. The kind with wine, blankets, and eat, pray, block his number energy. She showed up on a Friday night with Thai food and a 6-pack of spiked kombucha. We sat on my floor, surrounded by old photos, unopened mail, and a half-dead monstera plant that Jake used to water every Sunday. So, she said, digging into her pad CU, when are you changing your number? I laughed. I'm not. Lena. I already blocked him. That man had the audacity to impregnate his coworker while telling you he wasn't ready for a kid. If it were me, I'd have mailed him a glitter bomb laced with herpes. I snorted. You're so violent. Not violent, creative. I shook my head. She knew about me, Rhea. She knew. And she didn't care. That's because people like her don't see other women as real. They see us as obstacles. Characters in their story. Her words hit like a brick. Because she was right. The next day, I got a message from Jake's cousin, Talia. She and I had always been close. Closer than I ever was to my own in-laws. She was a bridesmaid at our wedding. She'd cried more than I did that day. Talia. Hey, I know things are messy, but I wanted to let you know something. Melanie is telling people you knew about the pregnancy, that you gave them your blessing. I felt my stomach drop. Me. Are you serious? Talia. She told a bunch of mutuals, said you and Jake had an arrangement, that you were done trying for kids and you approved of them raising this one together. I nearly threw my phone. Of all the lies she could have told. Me. Thank you for telling me. I'm sorry you're stuck in this too. Talia. Don't be. I cut him off. And her. They're disgusting. I just didn't want you to be blindsided. I stared at the messages. My ears were ringing. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it echo through my chest. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was character assassination. That night, I opened Instagram. I hadn't posted in over 2 months. My last photo was from our anniversary trip to Monterey. Jake smiling in a navy jacket, holding a cappuccino, his arm around my shoulder like he wasn't already lying to me. I hit new post. Uploaded a blank black image. Captioned it. To the people asking, no, I didn't know. I wasn't okay with it. I found out through a baby registry. I'm not the villain in this story. I just chose silence. Until now. #divorce. Is not shameful. Women supporting. Women #workwife was real. I posted it, logged off, threw my phone into a drawer and took a walk. By the time I got back, I had over 300 comments. Mostly women. Mostly kind. Some angry. Some too familiar with the feeling. One said, I found out about my ex's affair because the other woman accidentally tagged him in her IG story. You're not alone. Another. This happened to my sister. The betrayal hits different when they involve a baby. And one that broke me. You are not disposable. You were never the extra. I sat on my floor and cried like I hadn't let myself in weeks. Because that's how it felt. Like I'd been swapped out for a newer model. Traded like a car lease. Discarded without ceremony. But those comments? They reminded me I wasn't the only one with broken pieces. Jake called the next morning. I didn't answer. Then he emailed. Subject, please stop, Lena. I get that you're hurt, but airing this online doesn't help anyone. Melanie's family saw the post. They're furious. She's not in a good place mentally. You need to think about the baby. Please take it down. I reread it 3 times. No apology, no accountability. Just a man trying to protect the image of the house of cards he built. I replied with one line. You should have thought about the baby before sleeping with your coworker. Blocked his email. Again. 3 days later, Melanie posted a photo of herself in a hospital gown, holding a newborn. He's here, our little miracle. 6C solves 11 news. Welcome to the world, baby Jax. Jake wasn't in the photo. Wasn't tagged. Not mentioned. Interesting. I didn't want to care. Didn't want to feel anything. But I stared at that baby's wrinkled little face for a long time, wondering if he looked like Jake. If he'd have the same laugh. If he'd grow up one day and Google his dad and find me. I closed the app. I didn't want to know. About a week later, I got a package. No return address. Just a plain brown box taped at the corners. My name written in Jake's handwriting. Inside was a photo album. The one from our wedding. I hadn't realized he still had it. I flipped through it with a strange numbness. Page after page of smiles, toasts, flower petals, and bare feet on the dance floor. Tucked into the last page was a letter. Lena, I know this doesn't fix anything, but I couldn't throw it away. You deserve to have these memories, even if they hurt. I was a coward. I still am. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I never stopped loving you. Not once. Jake. I sat with that letter for a long time. Then I folded it, put it in the shredder, and poured myself a glass of wine. Later that night, Rhea called. You'll never guess who's on Bumble. I laughed. Please don't say Jake. Even worse, she said. Melanie, with a bio that says single mom, just looking for something real. Oh my God. With a baby photo, literally holding the baby like a Tinder trophy. I rolled my eyes. She's bold. She's a narcissist. I don't want to be part of that mess. You're not. You're the cleanup crew. That made me laugh. 1 month post-divorce, I moved out of the apartment. Too many ghosts. Too many memories. I found a cozy studio downtown. Creaky floors, clawfoot tub, giant windows that let in too much morning light. It smelled like paint and freedom. I repainted the bedroom walls sage green, bought a record player, hung plants from the curtain rods, started sleeping on the entire bed, diagonally, with no one to hog the sheets. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. 3 months post-divorce, I finally stopped flinching when I saw baby strollers. That sounds like a small thing, but it wasn't. It used to hit me like a gut punch, seeing some woman gently rocking a sleeping baby in a park, or hearing a toddler giggle from the back seat of a parked SUV at Target. It wasn't envy. It wasn't resentment. It was grief for a future I thought I was building. A future Jake stole from me while smiling across the dinner table. But that grief had started to settle now. Like dust after an explosion. Still there, but quieter. I started therapy. A virtual session every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Just me, my therapist Lauren, and a candle that smelled like vanilla and possibility. The first few sessions were rough. I cried. A lot. Said things I hadn't said out loud. I feel used, I whispered once. Like I spent the best years of my life building a home, and he just walked away to play house with someone else. Lauren said something that stuck with me. You didn't build the wrong home. You just built it with someone who was never going to stay. That sentence became a sort of mantra, not a scar, a reminder. One afternoon, while organizing old boxes in my new apartment, I found my vision board from last year. It was a corkboard collage, photos cut from magazines, scribbled notes, post-its with dreams. There was a photo of a baby onesie, a printout of a garden, a note that said, hike once a month, a picture of a woman with silver streaks in her hair, laughing over coffee. And at the bottom, in messy marker, build something that lasts, even if it's just peace. I stared at it for a long time, because back then I thought building something that lasts meant a marriage, a house, a family. Now I think it means something else. In April, I got a text from an unknown number. Hey Lena, it's Tara, from HR at Pine Creek. Just a heads up. Melanie put in her notice. I blinked. Pine Creek was Jake's company. Me. What happened? Tara. Not sure, she's going remote. Said she needed flexibility as a new mom. But between us, I think things with Jake went south. Me. Shocking. Tara. Whole office knows now. About the baby. The affair. Everything. It's like scandal karaoke over here. I put the phone down and laughed. For real. Because for the first time in a long time, the mess wasn't mine. Then, about a week later, it happened. I ran into Jake. Not on purpose. Not in some dramatic movie-style twist. Just a real-life, painfully awkward, completely unplanned encounter. At the grocery store, in front of the refrigerated almond milk. He looked smaller. Not physically, but something about him had shrunk. He saw me and froze. Lena, he said softly. Jake, I replied. Neutral. Civil. Like two acquaintances who once went on a bad date. Not people who'd spent nearly a decade entwined. There was a pause. The buzz of the cooler motor. A child whining 2 aisles over. You look good, he said, voice tentative. You look tired, I said without malice. Just truth. He chuckled. Yeah, Jax doesn't sleep. Ever. I raised an eyebrow. Not my choice, he added quickly. Melanie went back to work, said I needed to step up if I was going to be a real dad. I said nothing. She moved in with her mom, he continued. Said we needed space. Wow, I said. So soon after playing house. He winced, then quieter. I think she resents me. That makes two of us, I said, and reached for my almond milk. He looked like he wanted to say more. Something profound, maybe. Or pathetic. But I was done. Take care of your kid, Jake, I said, turning my cart. Don't screw him up like you did me. And I walked away. That night I told Raya what happened. Did you slap him? She asked, chewing popcorn on my couch. Nope, I was mature. Boring. I said something mature and emotionally devastating. Oh, perfect. Then she paused. How'd you feel afterward? I thought about it. Lighter, I said. And I meant it. The thing about rebuilding your life is that it's quiet work. There's no applause, no gold stars, just tiny little moments. Washing your own dishes while dancing to a song you picked. Filling your fridge with your favorite snacks. Reclaiming a Sunday morning. Laughing without guilt. I started going on walks again. Signed up for a pottery class. Tried hot yoga. Hated it. Tried aerial yoga. Loved it. Downloaded Hinge. Deleted Hinge. Re-downloaded it with new pictures. Went on one date with a guy who asked too many questions about my ex. Went on a second date with someone who didn't. That one ended with a kiss that didn't feel like fireworks, but felt safe. I kept going. Then one day, I got a letter. A real one. In the mailbox. No return address, just my name, in Jake's handwriting again. I almost threw it out. Almost. But curiosity won. I opened it. Lena, I heard you ran into me at Whole Foods. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I swear. Just wanted to say I've been reading. Your posts. Your stories. I didn't know you were writing again. You're good. Really good. The last piece about grief? It gutted me. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that. But I wanted you to know. You didn't lose. You won. Jake. I stared at it for a long time. Then I tore it in half. Not because I was angry, but because I didn't need his validation. Because here's the truth. I did win. Not in the petty sense. Not because I came out of this cleaner or more likable, or with more Instagram followers, but because I walked away. I grieved. I healed. I rebuilt. And I did it without him. I didn't think I'd ever see Melanie again. After the Instagram post stopped and the office gossip faded, she kind of vanished. The way people do when the attention runs out and the story shifts to something newer, shinier. But life's funny like that. Because 6 months after my divorce was finalized, I ran into her too. Not at a party or the office or in some big dramatic twist. No. I saw her at urgent care, holding a crying baby, hair in a greasy bun, eyes hollow, one sandal half off her heel. I was there for a sinus infection. She was in line ahead of me. The receptionist asked her for her insurance card. She fumbled through her diaper bag, flustered. I think I forgot it. It's under my name. Melanie Price. I didn't even flinch. I waited quietly, filled out my paperwork, took a seat. She never noticed me, but as she bounced her son on her hip, a beautiful little boy with dark curls and tired lungs, I saw something I hadn't seen before. Not arrogance, not victory, just exhaustion. She looked like a woman drowning with no one reaching for her hand. And I felt something else, too. Not sympathy, not quite, but maybe release. Because in that moment, I didn't hate her anymore. I just didn't care. I walked out without saying anything, went home, made soup, watched a documentary about forgotten women artists, fell asleep with my windows open. 2 weeks later, I got an invitation in the mail. No return address, just a white envelope with gold foil lettering. You're invited to, she chose herself, a gallery night for emerging women writers and creators. Inside was a small card with my name on it. Lena, we read your piece in Grief in the Modern Age. Would love for you to join us and share your story. If you're open to it, we'd be honored. Alyssa James, curator. I reread it 3 times. then set it down on my coffee table, and cried. Because for the first time since the betrayal, someone was asking me to show up not as the ex-wife, not as the victim, not as the cautionary tale, but as the voice. I said yes, wrote a new piece, practiced reading it aloud in front of my mirror, fumbled through outfits until I found one that made me feel like a whole damn cathedral. The night of the event, the gallery was packed. Mostly women, mostly young, mostly full of stories you could feel humming beneath their skin. When it was my turn, I stepped onto the little stage. My hands trembled, my mouth went dry, but then I looked out and saw them. Dozens of strangers, leaning in, waiting, and I read. He left when I was still soft, still willing to bend and absorb and hold. I made space for him like it was a second job, measured joy in teaspoons. And when he said he wasn't ready for children, I believed him. But what he meant was, not with me. He made a baby with someone who saw me as disposable. And when I saw that baby's name beside his on a registry, I broke into 1,000 pieces. But here's what no one tells you about shattering. You don't come back the same. You come back sharper, braver, not unbroken, but unapologetic. I didn't lose my life. I lost the version that was killing me slowly. The applause was quiet at first, then it swelled. Not because I was profound, but because I'd said the things so many others had only whispered to themselves at 3 a.m., wrapped in bedsheets and betrayal. Afterward, a woman with silver hair and dark lipstick found me by the wine table. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said. "I left my husband last year. He called me selfish." "You're not," I said. "You're free." She smiled. Exactly. I got 3 new writing opportunities from that night. One was a podcast. One was a column. One was a book proposal. I said yes to all 3. Not because I needed the exposure, but because I finally had something worth saying. Rhea threw me a birthday dinner that month. Just me, her, our closest friends, candles, homemade lasagna, and a Spotify playlist titled Lena's Post-Trauma Glow Up. When she handed me a card, I braced for something ridiculous. Instead, it just said, "To the girl who walked through fire and made it a fireplace. You're not the ashes. You're the one who stayed warm." I cried. Again. I think I'll always cry now, but not out of sorrow, out of proof. One night, I found myself scrolling back through old photos. Not to punish myself, but to remember. There was one from our honeymoon. Me on a beach in Tulum, sun in my hair, holding a mojito. Smiling so wide my eyes were almost closed. Jake was cropped out of that one. I saved it. Used it as my phone background. Because she, that version of me, survived. Now, a year later, I sometimes get DMs from women who followed my story. "Thank you for being honest. Your post gave me the courage to leave. I thought I was crazy until I saw your words." And every time I see one, I think, maybe this was the point. Not the betrayal, not the loss, but the becoming, the unfolding. Do I still believe in love? Yes, but I also believe in locked phone screens, full disclosure, and gut instincts. I believe in watching how people speak about their exes, how they speak to waitstaff, how they handle power when they think no one is watching. And more than anything, I believe in choosing yourself, every time. Even if it's messy. Even if you're the only one clapping at first. A few weeks ago, I saw a new post from Melanie on a parenting forum. She was asking for childcare recommendations, said she was navigating motherhood solo, and co-parenting with an inconsistent father. I didn't judge her. I didn't screenshot it. I didn't send it to anyone. Because the truth is, I'd finally stopped caring about how the story ended for them. I was too busy living mine. So now I ask you, the people watching, the ones with opinions and stories of your own, was she justified in walking away before the baby was born? Should she have exposed them sooner? Would you have stayed silent? Or burned it all down? Let me know in the comments. If this story moved you, Subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.